This is the Gundam cast. That's not a promise that we're going to cover every single Gundam series, but we are going to talk about one of them in particular, 0080 War in the Pocket, the 6 episode OVA. I
Yeah.
am Whooper, and here's Mario.
Hey guys, so this is a part of our, our attempt to try to cover the classic shows, and it seems like we stuck with these 1980s, 1990s. I think it's actually appropriate because it's like the years where me and Whooper was born.
I was
So
born in
maybe that's
1990.
why. Yep. So that's why our like fixation to the year. So before this, we do uh
Gosenzo Sama Banzai.
yeah, which is in the same year, and before that it was Pat Labor or Pat Labor, also around the same era.
Right. Yeah, I wish I could say that was intentional, but I mean, maybe you had it in mind when you were suggesting different
No,
OVAs for us to watch. Oh, no?
no,
Okay.
I was an adult.
Okay. Well,
So
at least you made the connection.
yeah,
Just a happy accident, I guess. But if you're gonna pick
it is
any
true.
Gundam OVA to watch in isolation, I mean,
Yeah,
well, Gundam is a massive franchise, and different fans are gonna have different opinions about which one stands alone the best, which one is the
yep,
best. But I know Gundam War in the Pocket is like a big blogger favorite, and Mario
mm-hmm.
and I both come from the era of anime fandom when blogs were actually relevant. So
Yep,
I guess
yep,
perhaps that was one of the contributing factors to our decision to watch this one.
yep. So there also like an episode count because we try to watch something like short and sweet enough that we can go through them, and 6 episodes seems like like ideal to us. uh this time we only talk the first 3 episodes.
Right. Yeah. So this video that's been uploaded has
Oh, yeah,
contains a discussion of all 6, but at this point, when you're hearing us right now, we've only seen the first 3,
yep,
and so that takes us up to what the discovery of the base,
yep.
the Federation base on, I guess, side 6 or side 7. I don't know the colony name exactly, because in episode 1 of War in the Pocket, the place where Alfred, the main character, lives is referred to as side 7. But in
Oh.
episode 2, when the Xeon officer, whose name is literally Killing, the blonde guy with the glasses, his name is Killing, he refers to it as side 6 rather than side 7. So when I heard that, I was like, what? Is this side six
All
and a
right,
half? What's going on here?
all right.
Anyway,
My
the space
impression
colony where
is that
this takes
it's a
place.
6.
Yeah, we'll call it
Yeah,
side 6.
all right. I didn't really know that that guy name's Killing. Oh my god,
Yeah.
that's so obvious.
Well, I mean, he. I only found out when I went on an anime database and looked at the characters' names and stuff. His name is Killing.
All right.
I mean, he is a Xeon officer. They are the space Nazis. So,
Yeah. Mm,
although that one of them is a protagonist in this
yeah.
series. And that's
Yeah.
actually as Gundam has gone on and more, like OVAs and side stories have been produced, there have been others where Xeon characters have been in like prominent positions, have even functioned
Mm,
as protagonists.
yeah.
Perhaps War in the Pocket was the first of those, since we're
Yeah.
still in the late 80s here. This would be right
Yeah.
after Gundam Double Zeta aired on TV, probably.
Yeah. I see. I see.
But it takes place during the original show,
Yeah.
0079. In fact, there's a reference to Amuro, the main character of the original Gundam. I don't know if you caught it in episode 3, when you learn that Kurisu, the red-haired neighbor, is actually a
Yep.
Federation pilot.
Yep.
One of the technicians says to her,
Oh.
"Oh, you have to be a freak, like a genuine freak, to actually pilot one of these things at full capacity. I hear that they're sending this particular model to the white base.
Right.
The pilot they have at the white base. That's Amuro.
I see. I see. I see.
Because that's the name
Yep.
of the ship that Amuro is traveling on with, with Bright, Captain Bright, and
Yep.
everybody else. In the original Gundam series, it's called the White Base.
Yep. Yep. All right. Understand. Yep. Whew.
There's a bit of background there.
Yep. All right. I watched these first 3 episodes and I still feel kind of mixed about the whole premise. But
What would you say is the premise of the show?
the pre all right, the previous episode is that they established a kind of like a romance, the relationship between like a guy who is the soldier from Zion with a kid who is a member of the Federation.
Did you say romance?
No, relationship. I
Okay.
said relationship. I was just about to say romance, but it was more of like relationship. And romance between him as well and the pilot tester Chris, the girl next door.
Right.
So
I don't know if you can
so
really
it's
say. I mean, they have kind of a meet cute moment
yeah.
when she hits him over the head, thinking that he's like a prowler or a burglar or something. But I don't know if
Yeah.
the romance has really been established yet.
It-
Surely it will
It's a
get there. But
it's a bit pushing at the moment. Yeah, I can feel that. So I would say that it's more about like understanding each other point of view. I mean between him. I think his name is
the Xeon soldier,
but yep, the Zion soldier,
Bernie.
Bunny and Alfred, who's like somehow know more about each other's and kind of like becoming like under becoming a same team with while like the world is at war. So I think they bring out the anti-war message as at the heart, but like for the first 3 episodes we don't really see that because Alfred is I don't really like Alfred's characters. He's just like a very nosy obnoxious kid for me.
Yeah. Well, he's a little punk, you know,
Yeah,
skipping
yeah.
school, getting bad grades.
Try
The only
try
thing he
to
really
be
cares about is
a
war.
smartass. Yeah, and there's I think like it's in episode 2 or 3 where they get into the base of the Federation.
It's episode 3.
And episode 3 and Alfred like try to sneak in, and at one moment I thought that he would get caught, but I think we got stopped before that.
Well, that's the cliffhanger, is that he's like standing on boxes or something to give himself a leg up and trying to record footage of the mobile suit with his little camera. He's kind of between two vending machines,
Yep.
so he's obscured from view, but there's a couple Federation, officers, employees, whatever, who are coming down the hallway, and then cuts to the ED. You don't know what's going to happen.
Yep.
So, I
Yep.
mean, things could go south as soon as episode 4 starts. We don't know yet. But he could get discovered
True.
right away. And Bernie might have to kill somebody. He might have to shoot those guys in order to
Yeah.
protect the secret of their invasion of the base so they can get out safely.
Yep, that's true. That's true.
We don't know what'll happen. I mean, Al might be able to talk his way out of the situation, though. He's pretty good at manipulating adults.
That is true. He can just be like, I just love my father. He's a soldier here, and yeah, and he might get away with that.
Yeah,
And-
because he definitely gets away with manipulating the cops at the start of
Yeah.
episode 3. He uses their resources to track the Xeon Special Forces team And then when he finally gets there, he's like, "My long lost brother."
Yeah.
I made up the whole story. I'm sorry, Mr. Police Officer.
Yeah. I just want to see him again.
Then that becomes their actual cover story. When Bernie is in the sitting room at Chris's house after she's knocked him over the head, he says that
Yeah.
he's Al's half
Long lost
brother.
brother.
They have different
Yeah.
mothers.
Phew. Damn.
So that, yeah, I mean, his story turns out to be pretty useful.
Yeah. Yeah. So at the moment, I think I kind of like the setup, but I just don't feel for any of the characters at the moment. So it's hard for me to, for now, to follow that story along with some kind of like emotional investment to any of the characters.
Yeah. Well, it's you touched on it being having an anti-war message. Um, I think you can reasonably say that it does have an anti-war stance after 3 episodes because it's pretty clear
Yep.
that Al being so like all the kids, not just Al, but his two friends as well, being so
Yep.
interested in going to the park and playing war, and like
Yep.
obsessing
Yep.
over a little badge that you can put on your collar and it indicates that you have some status in the military.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Um,
Yep. Yep.
you know that I think it's pretty clear that you're supposed to be turned off by that as a viewer, like, and question why these children are so interested in the 1 year war between the Federation and Xeon. And
What they
even
call
the
that?
the dogfight that breaks out on side 6 in the middle of a
Yep.
residential area.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
The kids are like, "Whoa, look at those robots." Their
Yep.
reaction is so divorced from the norm. Most people would be taking cover and fearing for their lives.
Yep.
And to be
Yep.
honest, I didn't. So it's anti-war in that way, but I think the real anti-war message is probably going to hit in the second half. Somebody's probably going to die.
Yep. That's true. That's true.
I'm a little
Team gonna.
confused as to how
Yep.
that dogfight broke out inside 6 at all. Like, how did those robots get in
I
there, and why were they fighting? What was the purpose of it? I'm not.
I
I'm still
don't
not clear
even
on that.
I don't even know if we have like a clear picture of why is that happening. But all I can say is that uh let hold on. All I can say is that Bernie somehow survived that. But I yeah, I don't even know what the cause of it.
Yeah, me
Did
neither.
they say? Did someone say that? Even like like in the very beginning we see like the whole team just the whole other team just come into ambush one of the place in the federation. It doesn't really like clearly state of what that is. So I got a bit confused at first as well.
Well, that at least is cleared up as the show goes on. So that's the Federation's Arctic base, and
Yep.
the Special Forces team was doing a raid on it to try to capture whatever was in that cargo container.
And then they just shoot it off,
Well, yeah, the
right?
Federation shoots it off. The Xeon guys
And
aren't in time to intercept it.
yeah, but the thing is, we don't know what happened to that thing that they shoot off, right?
What we
Oh,
do, that's what Alfred takes the video of.
I see, I see, I see. So that come into the to their land, to their side 6, and the whole thing happened. All right. Well,
Yeah.
it's all right.
So that at least is clear. Um,
And
it's
I
because
I
what was in that thing, at which the Special Forces guys didn't know at the time. Their objective was only to recover that cargo carrier or whatever you want
yep,
to
yep,
call it.
yep,
They didn't know what was
yep,
inside, but we now know what was inside. It was the mobile suit that
yep.
Kurisu is doing like
Testing.
testing with in
Yep.
episode 3.
All right. one thing I don't clear as well is that when Bernie he got out of that mobile suit and he see out, they left that thing over there and it become unattended. Like no one really know where that is because
Yeah, that doesn't
I
make
don't
a
get
lot of
it. Why
sense.
I don't
You
get
would,
it at all. Like the federation would be all over it,
yeah, yeah, that doesn't make any sense at all. Why, why there's no like attempt made to retrieve that
Uh,
that mobile suit, and a kid
yeah,
can just freely go up to it and get in the cockpit and like take a nap
yeah,
in it.
and with the size, you would think that like someone will get into that, someone will notice it,
Yep.
but they just let it here, let it there. Like no one really care about where about that place. Yeah, that that bit doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I think the show tries to address it by there's like a little conversation between Bernie and one of the other special forces guys
Yep.
who says, "Oh, you wrecked or you destroyed a mobile suit already."
Huh? All right.
Pretty sure there's some conversation, some little bit of conversation like that. Like, "Oh, you're on thin
Yep.
ice now. You already wrecked a mobile suit."
All right. So they thought that it was destroyed already.
Like that it was completely non-functional. Yeah,
I
something
see.
like that. But it really, yeah, you would still try to recover. I mean, all your technology is still inside the thing, even if it's not operational. You're not just going to leave it lying around.
Yep. Yep.
But it really doesn't hold up under scrutiny, and we don't
Yep.
understand. You can assume that side six is like neutral because one of the
Mm-hmm.
conversations between Bernie and his two friends in class, I think it's the one who loves eating, because of course,
Yep.
anime. There's always an anime character, or there's frequently an anime character who is, a little bit bigger. He's on the bigger side compared to all
Yep.
of his buddies, and he always offers to finish everybody's food. Uh, at one point, he says, while he's eating, my mom says that we have less, like there's just less to go around ever since the war started. And Al responds by saying, "But that's between the Federation and Xeon. What does that have to do with us? That doesn't have anything to do with Side 6 or 7,
Yep.
depending on which episode you're watching." Uh, and so that, you can infer from that statement that this colony, the colony where they live, is neutral in the war. But if there's a Federation base there, they must secretly be allied with the Feds. So
Yep.
maybe
Yep.
Xeon like can't get back in there in order to retrieve the mobile suit. Like
I
after
I
all, they
I
had to
I
invade.
Yep.
You know.
I just think that that place I think is in peace, so there's no war, or they have like the kids have never experienced war there, but it's still the Federation territory.
I don't think that it's the territory. Well, it's definitely not Federation territory, right? Because it's the Earth Federation.
Right.
So
Right.
it's not their territory. This colony is just
Yep.
neutral. But yeah, as for the kids just having
Because
lived in peace, yeah, that's I think the major point is that
yep.
they just romanticize war in their heads because they haven't experienced its horrors. They haven't really experienced its negative effects. And even
Yep.
when Al's friend says, "Well, resources are getting a little bit more scarce. Perhaps things are starting to cost more, or
Yep.
there's less to go around because of the war." Al just doesn't believe him. He's like,
Yep.
"No, the war doesn't have anything to do with us. War is
Yep.
just a fantasy. It's just a game
Something
that I
far
can
away.
play on my game console.
Oh, yeah.
It's just
I
something we
I
can
actually
pretend in the
yeah.
park."
I actually love that bit. Like the game that he play, where like he be someone who destroy the town. He gets some point for destroy a trees and destroy his old home.
No, he
And
loses
he
points
get
for destroying
he loses point.
stuff.
All
Yeah,
right.
he gains points whenever he destroys like
Destroy the
aliens and
monster.
stuff, or
Right.
were they mechs? I don't really remember.
Yep.
But whenever he destroys like an enemy, he gains points. But whenever he shoots a hospital or something,
Right.
he loses points. But at the end, you can see at the end of his play session, some of the monsters, some of the mechs, or some of the enemies are still there on the screen, but they're in a
He
completely
destroy everything
barren.
else.
Yeah, he destroyed everything
Yep.
else. Uh,
Yep.
so
Yep.
that's
I think
pretty clearly the kid's in the wrong. We're not
yep.
supposed to
Yep.
think that he's so awesome for that.
Yep. Yep. True. And yep. I would just say that he definitely bored and he just want like to shake something up. So like the opportunity to see a Benny who is he knows at the soldier of the opposition. Uh, Actually
I don't think
interest.
he thinks of Xeon as the opposition though.
Right.
He doesn't think that
Yes.
either the Federation or Xeon
That
are the enemy.
yeah that right. That's what you mean by you think the Sisig is neutral.
Yeah.
Um. Yep. Let's so that he just tag along with this guy or with the team and like just want to see some cool action, I
Yeah,
suppose.
he even phrases it that way when the policeman brings him to the I don't know, the warehouse or wherever it is that they're
Yep. Yep.
trying to uh, get out the mech
Yep. Yep.
from the
Yep. Yep.
container that they've stolen. Um, he says, "Let me join your team," or "Let me join your group." He says it like a kid would say it,
Yep.
not "Let me join your unit," or operation. He
Yep.
wants to be he wants to be on their team. And there's a big contrast between the sort of language that Al uses when he's talking about like military matters, and the guys on this special forces unit. One of whom says, "I still think we should have killed the kid."
Mm.
You hear that and you're like, "Whoa,
Yep.
slow down there, man." That's crazy. But I mean, these
Yep.
guys are like black ops. Uh, you know,
Ye-
they have a mission which is of like critical importance to their cause, I guess, and they're they're gonna do whatever they can to be successful in it,
I
even if it means
yep.
killing a
I
kid.
actually like the yeah. I actually like the introduction when Benny just get into like just open the door and see the three members doing their things. One of them like reading the pomade, the other one just like I think write letter and smoke. And I don't even remember the other guy who is doing. I think he's doing something with a knife.
Yeah, he's like sharpening a knife or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like it the way you see their introduction like that, you see that like they are like a bunch of like not friendly guy,
Yeah.
uh, and they mean business somehow.
Yes.
So
Yep. We do. We the one who suggests that they kill Al. I think his
yep.
name is Garcia, and the other guy's name, the guy who's on the bigger side, his name is Mikhail. So he's
All
Russian, I
right. Yep.
guess. But the other one, the captain, is a bit more interesting because we see him give like an acting performance in order to fool the
Yep.
inspector
Yep. Yep.
at like
Yep.
the cargo drop off point.
Yep.
Um, and Bernie kind of looks at him like wide eyed, like wow, I didn't know this guy was going to be capable of something like that. So I wonder if we'll
Yep.
learn more about the captain,
Yeah.
um,
Well,
like what sort
I
of
think
background he
that's
has in order to be able to pull something like that off.
yeah. That guy sorry, that scene is a good bit for him, but then again he have like a scene where like one of the members like we just come early like 5 minutes into the series and one of his men uh being shot down and he was holding him and just saying like no, remember that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Nope, no for me.
You're not down with the classic, holding
Nope.
the dead body of your fellow
Yeah,
soldier and looking up at the sky
holding the
and
grudge.
screaming, "No!"
No,
Come on,
not a
man.
fan at all.
Come on.
I'm cold-hearted. Yeah,
I mean, Gundam is always that's the interesting thing. Well, I don't know if it's necessarily interesting, but
yeah,
most Gundam series are anti-war or are meant to be anti-war. But of course,
yeah,
whenever you get a TV show or a film that's supposed to be anti-war, there's a little bit of engagement in the tropes of military fiction.
uh-huh, uh-huh.
So you wonder if absolutely everyone who's working on the show is of the same, anti-war mindset. Some of them
Yeah.
might just be like, "Hell yeah."
This is cool. I get
Yeah, this this
to
is
do
this is
something cool.
badass.
Yep. Well,
So some of
so
that might bleed through into some elements of War in the Pocket here.
yep, yep. I agree.
But
But
I'm okay with that.
yep,
That's
yep. Me
fine.
too. Like at the moment, I still not really into any of the characters, but I also do feel that the plot is leading you to somewhere. Like they still building up into like a climax where you know I really wanted to see how it goes from here.
Well, Al is good at that. Al keeps it moving
Yep,
because he always wants
yep,
to get more and more into his war games. He always wants to, move on to the next thing because he's running
yep,
away from his responsibilities, I guess, as a student.
yep, yep,
Um, he doesn't really appreciate the things that his mom does for him. Like during that video game scene in episode 1 where he's using his light gun and shooting all the objects
yep,
on screen, he's saying hi, hi, hi,
yep.
hi. Like the one word answer that you give to your parent
Mom.
when they're
Yep,
asking you to do stuff in Japan.
yep,
Hi.
yep.
Uh,
I
he just
I
wants
don't
to
know
escape.
about.
He wants to escape from his boring life, what he sees as his boring life, and
Yep,
you know, do something a little more exciting. And to him,
yep,
war is that's how he understands it. It's something exciting. It's something amazing.
yep.
So he
I don't
wants to
know.
get more and more into it, and that's the plot's going to follow him.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know if your sub is the same as mine, but whenever he say hi, hi in when he play that game, the sub will keep on like yes mom.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it's the same. It's the same for me. I think that's probably
yeah,
the best way to translate
yeah,
it
true,
because
true.
that's how a kid would like if you recreate all those same scenes, but you do it in English.
Yeah,
Um, you're not a kid doesn't say yes when their parent asks them to do something. They don't say yes. They say yes, mom, yes, dad, or okay,
yeah,
mom, okay, dad. They might say okay, 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 okay. You might
yeah,
you might do it that way, but I think yes, mom
yeah,
makes sense because it has
yeah,
that phrase carries with it the sort of exasperation of like, yes, mom, you know,
yeah. And
like that you
not
really don't have
not
any genuine intention of respecting or obeying your parent.
yeah, and that mentality, I would say that even let's show in Evangelion, they could use something like that as well. Like they have something like that as well. Like to put kid into like this war situation where it's beyond him. So I'm thinking of the scene in like earlier in the series where Shinji had to train how to shoot the target, and he would just like go kill, go shoot. You know.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact phrase, but it's something like "triga switchy puru."
Yeah.
Triga
Yeah.
switchy puru. It's something like lock on, pull the
Switch.
trigger, fire. lock on, pull the
Yep.
trigger, fire. He what kind of with a dead-eyed expression, he repeats it to
Yep.
himself over and over as though he's, because it's been drilled into his head. He's been conditioned
Yep.
to just go through the motions over and over.
Yep. This scene had that same effect, and like I would love for it to go a bit darker as well. So I think no scene about Al to be like really bored of his current life, his peaceful life, and want a bit of war. Like when he play the game, when he just say hi 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 like that, really say about his his current body mess better than like when he just being a smart ass for apparently no reason.
I don't know if it's for no reason.
Yep.
He's just
Yep.
not, he doesn't get any like excitement, or he doesn't have any interest in what he's learning at school. Some kids are
Yep.
like that.
That's
They're
true.
they're not interested in what they're learning at school for whatever, for it could be for 1,000 different reasons. Um, but the only thing they care about is what happens outside the walls of their school building. Anything that happens in school is of no like importance or no use to them.
Yep.
So Al's one of those children.
Yep.
He's got his father. He knows that his father has some sort of military job. Um, so he probably like favors his dad over his mom as a consequence of, I don't know. Maybe his dad is hardly ever around, and so he like longs for his father and wants to see him and wants to be like him, and he resents his mother for her constant
Yep.
presence in his life, and um, like what he
Yep.
perceives as being like too close, too present.
Yep.
I don't know, with the 6 episode runtime or episode count. I don't know if the show will really get into that. I think we're just supposed to understand, and I think it's clearly demonstrated that Al
Yep.
is, you know, something's not quite right with the kid.
Yep. And one more question that I want to ask is that what to do with that girl who is his classmate. We see her a little bit in the first episode, but that's it.
We
We
see
don't
her in
see much
episode
about
2
her,
as well, don't we?
Uh,
They make
yeah.
fun of her for having denied the existence of Federation mobile suits.
Yep. Yep. And that's it, right? So I would say that she might reappear, maybe in the bigger role in the future. But for now, I'm a bit confused. Of
I don't think she's supposed to be that important. Just somebody who kind of stands in opposition to Al's interest in mobile suits and armed conflict.
and badge. Yeah.
Right, but yeah, that's perhaps the clearest indicator of all of what her role is that she mocks the idea of buying one of those badges from from a general store,
Yep.
because you can, they sell them, and that's another subtle example, I guess, of the show, like explaining to us how war is glorified in this future. Is that stores sell these sorts of badges so that kids can,
Yep.
pester their parents to buy them for them, and then they can pretend to be soldiers.
Yep. Yep.
And she doesn't like that. She thinks it's stupid and immature. So she just represents a different point of view compared to Al's, kind of an opposite point of view.
Yep. All right.
I don't think she, just because she is also a child character in school, if we never saw her again, I wouldn't be surprised.
I see. I see. All right. I think that's it for me for this show. Do you have any other note for the 3 episodes so far?
Um, I really liked the OP in episode 1, where the accompanying footage was a whole bunch of like character animation, people walking on the sidewalk, kids crossing the street, like kind of squirming and shifting around in their seats during class. There's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
really good character animation there. And then starting in episode 2, the OP was just a literal single shot parallel scrolling thing of like a bunch of graffiti on a wall or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "What? Where did all that? Where did all that animation go? What? Oh no!" But really, all it was from the beginning was like recycled cuts from episode 1.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
So
Ah.
that's too bad. I mean, in general, the animation is pretty good. There's some
Yep.
wonky, like some strangely drawn faces,
Mm-hmm.
especially like during the scene where Bernie is at Chris's house having tea with Al and her
Yep.
parents,
Yep. Yep.
and
Yep.
like
Yep.
some of the looks that Bernie and Chris exchange are like, I think they're meant to soften their features a little bit, but it looks like they brought in somebody completely new to draw them in those
Yep.
moments. They don't, they don't really look. They don't seem to be of a piece with everything else.
Yep.
But
Yep. 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 Yep.
I've seen characters have that look on their face in other '80s productions. Like for example, in Macross, when Minmay sings, she often gets
Oh yeah.
that little look on her face, where
Mm.
her I don't even really know how to describe it exactly, but I think it's meant to be like kawaii, uh, but it just to me just looks strange.
Yep. Yep.
In general, though, yeah, I like the look of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty detailed. The animation's pretty good.
Yep. Yep.
Especially, there are some cuts of Al like running to catch up with
The bus. The truck.
yeah, the truck
Yep. Yep.
that
Yep.
the special forces guys are driving, and they've got the mobile suit or the cargo container with the mobile suit in it inside. That's
Yep.
those are pretty good. Like the way that he grabs onto the back of it and kind of like is caught by the wind and kind of wobbles like a flag almost before finding his footing on the back of it. That's a little Ghibli esque.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I agree with you.
That's about all I got.
Yep. Uh. Yep. So let's see if the last half of the OVA, how it goes. So for us, it's gonna be in 2 weeks, but for you guys, it's gonna be in 2 minutes. You will find out.
Yeah. All right, we'll talk to you then in just a second, I guess.
We're talking about episode 4 to 6 now.
Yep.
For me, it's a big improvement from the first half. How about you, Cooper?
Um, I mean, I guess we're just laying our cards on the table right off the bat about how we feel.
Yeah.
Personally, I was a little disappointed.
Oh, really? Well,
I
right.
mean, it's possible that the reason for that is that I knew what was going to happen to Bernie because it's kind of like a famous line in the uh, Gundam fandom. Nothing left but hamburger. Did your subtitles say nothing left but hamburger?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I I did have a laugh at that as
So
well.
I knew. Oh, you laughed at that. Well, okay. I mean,
Well,
he futilely died
it just
in the midst of
it
a
just
war.
it's just a vivid image that
Yeah, well, it's definitely that. But I kind of had it built up in my head that that was going to be like a really tragic moment.
Mhm.
It is tragic that he died for nothing. But I
Yeah.
knew that Bernie was going to end up as nothing but hamburger. So
Good.
I watched these 3 episodes waiting for that moment, and it didn't really, in my mind, it didn't really deliver. I mean, I think the OVA is good, but it didn't stand out as something special to me.
Hmm.
Just
Okay.
just
As the
very
one
broadly,
who did
those are my thoughts.
yeah, as the one who didn't really know about that line, about that meme.
Yeah,
So
it is kind of a meme.
I
I thought that it was well done. So like in a way that both of them have been defeated. Bernie he succeed on his mission, so he tried to stop the Gundam and he stopped that, but it's all for nothing as we have been noting.
I don't.
Um,
Does he succeed? His mission is to destroy it, right?
it had been destroyed. Like the head is cut off.
Yeah, I guess, but I mean, I feel like in order that's something that can be repaired. I feel like in order to destroy
Hmm.
it, you would have to like completely incapacitate it and
Blow
then
it
cut it
up,
up into a million little pieces and then eject them into space.
or or more like make it blow up like a piece of hamburgers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I don't know. I mean, it would be more poetic if he actually succeeded in his mission, but it ended up not mattering because the ship that Killing had ordered to go to Side Six with the nuke on board got caught. Like
Yep.
en route, it I don't know. I guess Federation forces stopped it and discovered with their plot, so it didn't matter. Uh,
Mhm.
yeah, it would be more poetic if he succeeds, but it was futile. But I'm not sure that I can really say that what he managed to accomplish in episode six was a success. I don't think he fulfilled his mission. If you want to
Mhm.
destroy the Federation's mobile suit, you got to do more than just like cut it in two.
Well, he's only one man, right? So I
Yeah,
think he did the best he could.
yeah,
Um, all right. One other detail that doesn't really make sense to me, and I think you might be in the position to explain that to me.
maybe.
Is is when the Zion soldier in episode 4 decided to do the planning of stealing or destroying the mobile suit. Uh, one of the guard who said to Bernie that you got a funny accent. So are you from Australia?
Yeah.
How the heck does Australia have to faction here because they are all in space, right?
Yeah, they are in space, but people like, for example, at the end of episode six, Chris says that she's going to be stationed back down on Earth.
Yeah,
She's returning to Earth. So people do like people are born on Earth and they come to space, and vice versa. There's transit between space and Earth.
right. Yeah. All right. Well,
But yeah, I did, especially because you are not. I don't know. You're not really from Australia, I guess, but you're located there. And
yeah.
so when I saw that line, I was like, "Hey, Australia mentioned."
Yeah,
Um,
and there's a whole thing going on about that as well. So like it should be it should be snow in here at the moment, but it's not because it's summer in
that's
Australia.
right.
There's a whole thing going on there.
Yeah, but even before that though, I was thinking like, does it really snow in Sydney?
No,
Yeah, that's what should
no,
have immediately stood out to the Federation guy who eventually caught him in the
yep,
lie about like the season being flipped once you cross over the equator. Um,
yep,
it should he
yep,
should have been like, it doesn't snow in Australia, or almost never.
yep.
Uh,
Almost
so it
never.
doesn't
Well,
make the
we
way
have
that he was caught in that lie didn't make a lot of sense.
yeah, we have a bit of snow here in Canberra, but where it was very cold, but it usually lasts for a few hours. So you can say that it doesn't snow here in majority of Australia.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so
But
that was
well,
I just treated that as kind of like a fun little I don't know, Easter egg
yeah,
that Australia was brought up.
yeah. It doesn't even snow in in Sydney. So
Yeah. I was thinking
all
that,
right,
that
but
when Bernie said that, oh, it should be snowing down there right about now. Yep, I sure am homesick. Like, what do you? Don't you know anything about Australia? Why? Why
yeah,
would you say that?
well, they're in space, so
Yeah, I don't know.
it it reasonable that he have no idea about that.
Well, he has to play along with it because the guy said, "Aren't you from? Isn't that where you're from?"
Yeah.
I'm guessing
Yeah.
that in the English dub. In fact, I should probably check because I have a dual audio version of the episode. I
Mhm.
should go back and check the English dub and see if his voice actor puts on an Australian accent to play along with the guy saying, "Are you from Australia?" He probably does. Of course, in Japanese there wasn't any difference, but anyway.
And yeah, and the thing is like, so when people said like you got a funny accent, why are you from Australia? It just feel a bit, like archetype as well.
Well, I mean, the
But
Australian
well,
accent is very, identifiable. It's like iconic.
yeah. The funny thing is like the whole Australia we have the same accents, kind of. It's not split into regions like
Really?
what happened in the
Don't you
UK
think there
or
are
in the
probably
US. Yep.
Australians who would disagree with that?
No, no, no. It actually we have like a common Aussie accent. So yep, it's just the same in in most Australia. It's not it's not even generalized.
Well, that's convenient.
Yeah.
That's nice.
And all right, let's just go back to the
Oh
episodes.
yeah, Gundam.
Gundam. I thought episode 4 were actually a full-on action, and it actually ended up pretty well. We see like the whole action, the whole preparation before the day, and all of the members of the Zeal, they most of them know that they're not gonna make it, you know, uh, alive,
Yeah, I mean, I think
and most of them die as
they
well.
come to that realization because of the bartender. There's the scene where Garcia, one of the members of
Yep,
the unit, I can't remember what its code name was,
yep,
but this
yep,
this group of Xeon officers, he goes to the bar and he gives like a little code phrase, and then the bartender responds with his code phrase. It's like classic spy
yep,
stuff, and based on the information that the bartender gives him, um, I think the leader of the group, whose name is what Steiner, right? Steiner.
yep.
He
Standard.
realizes that, oh, this is like a suicide mission. They're basically just using us to flush out the Gundam, its location. They don't actually intend. They don't actually think that we're going to be able to, capture it, um, you know, extricate it from the colony and bring it back home or anything.
Yep.
Um, I mean, maybe that realization actually becomes more explicit in terms of the series scripting in a future episode, um, like
Mhm.
5 maybe, but 4 is where the seeds of that suspicion are planted, and it definitely plays out that way because everybody ends up dead.
Yep.
Garcia even sets
And
off a bomb as he dies in an attempt to destroy the Gundam,
yep.
but it doesn't work. It's not even close.
And Chris, she have a taste of killing um one of the opponent pilot for real. So we have on the on of her reflection in episode 5. I think it's like a down moment for everyone who both for Benny, both for Chris, and even for Out, who like who had to figure out what they really want to do.
Well, I mean, I don't know if I would phrase it exactly that way because they're kind of caught up in a conflict that's much bigger than themselves. They almost have no choice
Yeah,
um, than to
that's certainly the case for Bernard.
yeah.
Yep, Bunny, poor Bunny, because yeah, I do think that he has an opportunity to just fly out, to just run away, but he decided not to. And even in his video confession, he said that it's not because of he want to revenge or he think that he have a good chance to win. It's just because he cannot back away from that.
Yeah, he says I just felt like I wanted to fight against the Gundam. That seemed to me
Yeah,
to be like really Japanese, that way of thinking. Like if there's an
but
opponent in front of you, you just have to throw yourself
but
into them and like
yeah,
struggle
is
and
it
see who comes out on top to prove your existence, you know.
yeah, but is it more of like Japanese thinking or is it more of like soldier way of thinking as well? Because it may be a critic of like the of the show about the social way of thinking. Like they have to fight, even if they don't really, like they don't really think possible, or if they hate the opponent, they just have to fight.
I think rather than it being a criticism of a soldier's mindset, it's probably more generally criticizing war. You know,
Yep.
what jumps out at me
Yep.
in thinking about what the series' overall message might be is the conversation near the start of episode 5 between the detective and Chris. Like a detective comes
Yep.
by the Federation base and wants to question her about the events of the previous night, where almost everybody from the
Yep.
Xeon unit dies, and
Yep.
he's talking to her like trying to get information out of her, and you can tell that he knows that she knows, but of course she's
Yep.
not really cooperative. Eventually, they get on to
Mhm.
the topic of like whether it was right for this conflict to have happened in the first place, for civilian lives to have been lost this way. And she says, well, even more
Mhm.
lives would have been lost if we hadn't fought. Um,
Yep.
his response to that, and I think this is probably the writer's, ultimate point,
Mhm. Misses.
is
Yep.
it's not about the number of deaths. There just shouldn't, like, no situation should ever arise where people's deaths can't be helped.
Yep.
And you hear that in anime sometimes, that phrase, it can't be helped. Um,
Yep.
the because that's what Chris falls back on when he criticizes her and by extension the Federation for however everything went down the previous night. Um, and I mean, she's a soldier. What can she say? She can't
Yep.
really offer a robust moral defense for her actions. She's taking orders and following them.
Yep.
But he's yeah.
Yep.
I
True.
mean, it makes sense with the from an ideal perspective. It makes sense with the detective saying like there should never it no one's death should ever be like inevitable. It shouldn't.
Yep.
Those sorts of
Yep.
situations shouldn't arise. But unfortunately, everybody's grouped into nation states and they come into conflict, and those conflicts sometimes
Yep.
can't be solved without bloodshed.
Yep. True. I think it's just the uh, one particular scene that I didn't like was the Xion, headquarters. This guy who really want to push on like bombing the whole
Yeah, that's
things,
that's killing. That's his name.
killing, and his name is killing, and he killing one of his supervisor.
Yeah.
It's just like in a very iconic anime,
Yep. The betrayal.
uh, betrayal. Yeah, and now I'm in the command.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah.
don't you question my decision? And it actually doesn't. Except from that scene, it actually doesn't come back to him anymore. It is relevant in the main series.
Oh, the whole plot to bomb to nuke side 6? No.
Yep. No, no, that guy killing is like even in the main series at all.
I don't believe so. No. If he is, I forgot about
All
him.
right.
But I don't think he is.
Yeah.
I haven't
Yep.
seen
Yep.
Double Zeta. I've seen Gundam, which
Yep.
happens in Universal Century 79. And this series,
Yep.
War
Yep.
in the
Yep.
Pocket, happens a year later in 80. And I've seen Zeta Gundam,
Yep.
which happens in 85, 5 years after this. So
Right.
I haven't met Killing in the series that take place either right before this or right after this. So I think he's probably
Yep.
exclusive to War in the Pocket,
Yep.
and that's fine
What
by
the
me because
characters.
he doesn't need to be in every Gundam
Yep.
series. He's crazy.
Yep.
A lot of Gundam
Yep.
characters are crazy, but his name is literally Killing. So
It doesn't get more obvious than this.
yeah, though you always have to think of like a Japanese audience's perspective. 25%, maybe more, of the people who watched this in Japan didn't know like what his name meant literally. They didn't know the
Okay.
word killing probably. I mean, I know that English language education is big in Japan in Japanese schools, but I think a lot of people probably learn a lot of that stuff and then just forget about it
Yep.
unless it's part of
Yep.
their job or part of their everyday life.
All right. Yep.
So they probably thought,
Um.
"Oh, Kiringu. That sounds cool. I like that. I like this guy."
Yeah. Um. Yeah. I feel like Al fare much better in these three episodes as well.
Excuse me. Who? Sorry. Oh, Al. Yes.
A- a- Out. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, his dad makes the remark like, "Don't you think he's matured a little bit at the end?"
Mhm.
You know, because he's not screaming and yelling about everything.
Yep.
uh,
And I think the closing scene is actually pretty on point. Like it just hit like when he's crying about like all the people who die, and then the his classmates were just like, no, you don't you worry about that. The new wars, there's a new war coming. It's even bigger, and uh, we can see a lot more stuff in there.
yeah, it's gonna be like bigger and fancier, flashier, bigger and flashier. That's what they say.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
honestly, when I was talking just earlier about the timeline of Gundam, there being
Mhm.
the original, and then this, and then
Mhm.
double Zeta Gundam in
Mhm.
Universal Century 85. I wonder if that line about the next war being even bigger and flashier is like a stealth jab at Zeta Gundam,
Yeah.
because Zeta Gundam is a bigger and flashier war, uh,
All right.
and that's what happens after the series. So I wonder if
It
the
must have
person who
been.
wrote this script was
Yeah.
like, "Man, I wasn't really a huge fan of Zeta. Maybe I can like throw in a little dig at it here at the end."
Yeah.
Of
I think that's certainly the case.
With it, even without that context, though, the of course the line still has its function, which is that those kids are not
Yeah.
wrong. Like there really will be another war, um, and as technology progresses, they do get flashier in a certain sense. Um, so
Yeah. It's just the attitude, man. It.
yeah, to feel kind of like blasé about war,
Yeah.
and just to view it as an inevitability. I mean, that's what the detective character who I was talking about earlier would stand against. He would criticize that mentality that war it just
Mhm.
can't be helped that people die in war. Um, but I think the show recognizes that to be true, which is part of why
Mhm.
it's so sad that Al is crying at the end, and his peers' response is does not at all match like his new maturity and
Yep.
his emotional state,
Yep.
because he recognizes that Bernie died for nothing, and I think
Yep.
that's probably what makes him so sad ultimately.
Mhm. Yep. That's a pretty point home, and even make it sadder is that Bunny was killed by Chris, and none of them knows about the pilot in in the opposite side. So they fight each other, they kill each other without even knowing it, and in real life they longing for meeting one another again.
Yeah, yeah. The reason that Bernie decides to come back and enact this last ditch mission with Al's help in episode 6 is because of the scene at the end of episode 5 where a girl who looks somewhat like Chris, he
Mhm.
overhears her conversation on the payphone.
Yep.
So you can tell that Chris is on his mind. Yeah, and I mean, she even at the end of episode 6, Chris even says to Al, tell Bernie goodbye for me.
Yep.
She doesn't know. Al doesn't know
And
that she's the pilot. At least I don't think so. Well, no,
nope,
does he?
no one know. No, he doesn't know.
Okay,
For sure, he doesn't know.
but
It's just
Bernie says
Al
to
who
him,
know.
don't hate the other pilot
Yep.
in
Yep. Yep.
his
Just say that.
his will, I guess you could call it like a video will or his last
Yep.
will and testament, whatever. Um, so him saying that Does that indicate that Al might know?
No.
No.
Oh, I'll know for sure.
Al does know that she was the pilot.
Yep. When I'll see the fight, including like one of the Gundam head chop off and Bunny turned into the hamburger.
Yeah.
He see later on when some of the officer arrive to him as well that they pull Chris out of the pilot of
Okay.
yeah
Out of the
of the
cockpit.
Gundam suit. Yep.
Okay.
So he had that. I think that's when he was like in the days. He was just he he possessed all of this. So Bob Bunny died, and Chris, who's the one who killed him, and you know,
Yeah. And she says, "Say
and
goodbye to him for me."
they yeah, and they died for nothing as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean
So
everyone
yeah,
I think who dies in the series dies for nothing. Um, of
true.
course, that's true because Killing's plan to nuke Side Six is foiled, and as a
Yeah,
result, there was no reason for the Xeon Task Force to come to Side Six in the first place, at least in the grand scheme of
yeah,
things. But
yeah,
even without that twist, um, people would have this whole conflict. I mean, peace is you see at the on the front page of the newspaper. There's a that Al's dad is reading towards the end of episode 6 at the breakfast scene.
mm,
There's
yeah.
the cover story on the newspaper is a couple of guys shaking hands, and I think it's implied that like
The
a
new
treaty has been
peace
signed.
treaty.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So there wasn't any reason for any of the like the events that happened on side 6 probably did not contribute in any way towards that peace accord. Um,
yeah, yeah,
so it really was just a
yeah.
total waste.
Yeah, true. And I just feel bad for Chris and Buddy. Like all they can say to each other is their first name. Like I think that's the last thing that they talk to each other. You can call me Buddy. You can call me Chris.
Right.
See ya.
Well, I mean, in Japan, that's a big deal, right?
It is. It
So
is.
if you're a guy, if you're a young man like Bernie,
Oh yeah.
and like a beautiful girl tells you, "Oh, it's fine, just call me by my first name," you're probably
Yeah.
thinking, "Hell yeah, I'm in there."
It's just a very cultural thing, right? Like
Yeah,
in America, do you address people by surname or first name
first name.
in the workplace context?
Uh, Still first name in the vast majority of workplaces.
Yeah, we just refer each other by first name here. Yeah, even in workplace,
Yeah.
even when we first meet.
Yeah, when you
Uh,
introduce yourself to
and
somebody,
in
you
person.
give your first name. You don't say, I'm
Yeah,
Mr. So and so. That
yeah.
would be
I'm
kind of strange.
I'm a bit of wise man, as in wise man.
Right. I don't think they ever made a joke about that, did they? Like
No,
using his
no,
name as a
they never.
pun. Okay. Well, that's good.
No.
Killing was enough name related humor for this series. You
Yeah,
don't need another one.
yeah, true. And one of the guy I just see here, his name is Dick.
Who's this?
Because maybe he's a Dick. All right, let me have a look. Dick Leland. And oh, he's the guy with the wheelchair.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
He's a professor.
Where I wrote it Lunland. Yeah, Dr. Lunland. He's like a mechanical
Yeah,
arms expert, and he's being interviewed for
right.
TV, I think, when Al like barges into his office.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
apparently Al had an appointment to see him because you
yeah,
later on
yeah,
there's a scene where like Dr. Lundland is just talking with him uh, you know,
yep.
as though they had
So,
had an appointment to talk.
yep. So Chris refer him out to London.
But for what purpose?
Because I wanted to visit the site at Bernie request. So reached out to Chris, saying that he wanted to visit the Federation
But
site and see a
how
creep.
can she get the like the head of mobile suit development, which was what he was actually doing. He's referred to as a
Yep.
mechanical arm
Yep.
expert, but you can tell that he's really heading up the mobile suit division, I guess. How would
Yep.
Christina or how would she be able to
Yeah, because
get
I
Al
think
a face to face meeting with somebody so important? I don't really get that.
yeah, because I think once she's a pilot tester, so she have like the privilege. And second, because I think Dr. Leland himself wanted to get out that interview with
Yeah,
yeah, with that interviewer, so he just hop on the train to like give out a ride, a tour.
right. Yes. Yeah, that was an important scene, I suppose, in episode 4. Um, I
Yep.
guess. Oh, yeah, another scene from episode 4 that I remember and that I wrote down a note about. Um, it
Hmm.
turns out that Xeon end up like the public perception of Xeon is negative on side
Hmm.
6, and when Al goes back to
Yep. Yep. Yep.
school, he finds that all of his
Yep.
friends and his classmates are like, "Yeah, Xeon sucks. We hate them. They're the
Yep.
enemy." And, and I was like, "Wait, what happened?"
Yep.
Because he doesn't watch the news. Like he has no idea um,
Yep. Yep.
that this change in public perception has happened.
Yeah, but I love the way that Al doesn't really be affected by that. So he know Bunny and the gang, and he's stick with them.
Yeah.
Never really think twice about that either.
Well, yeah. At that point, he's still in war games mode. He's still kind of having fun with this whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
He doesn't
True.
start to really
True.
question what he's been doing, I don't think, until he sees the body of a child being pulled out of the rubble, like on his way to
True.
school or something. He's horrified
Yep.
by that. Before that point, though, he was just
Yep.
like, "Rah rah, Xeon,
I
let's go, team."
Yep. 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 And I think he did ask a question as well to Bunny that that people died really easily. Like
Right. Yes, he's kind of shell shocked after seeing that bloody scene.
yep.
And yeah, and that is
Yep.
one of the first things that he says after that. I seem to recall that his first meeting with Bernie after that point, he's like silent, and Bernie is talking to him and
Yep.
trying to get him to respond, but he's not saying anything. Eventually,
Yep. To eat a hamburger.
right. That's right. That's right. Oh God, the
Damn.
foreshadowing.
Oh god.
Yes, yeah. I'm remembering now. Al buys the food, and he
Yep.
has the McDonald's bag, and he drops it to the ground when he sees the kid being pulled out of the wreckage.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I remember, I even remember. So this is at the start of episode 5. It's all coming back to me now. I even remember when he drops the fast food bag. There's like a little synth
Yep.
line that plays, like a spooky sounding uh, synth kind of sting. And I remember just like kind of giggling at it because it was so obvious. Like it was such a clumsy music cue. But a lot of 80s anime have that sort of approach to their score. So,
Mhm.
I kind of appreciate it.
Speaking of fast food as well, do you see that the the guy who is the waiter, who is the spy of the zone, he looked like he looked like Kentucky
He looks like who?
KFC, the guy who owned KFC.
Like Colonel Sanders?
No, the guy who owned KFC,
Yeah,
Kentucky. Oh, Colonel what? Sorry, I don't know his full name. Sorry.
Colonel
Okay.
Sanders is the name of like the mascot of KFC.
All right. Yep. 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 Oh, damn.
I didn't really make that connection. I mean, I guess they both have glasses, gray hair. Um, I didn't really see him as
All right.
A Colonel Sanders type, but hey, I mean, that's in the eye of the beholder, I guess.
Yeah. Well. All right. I don't think it that intentional though.
Probably not. Yeah, I don't think the fast food hamburger Bernie Bernie's death parallel runs that deep. especially since KFC doesn't serve beef; they serve chicken.
Ah, right. That's a good point.
Another thing
All
that kind
right.
of stuck out to me regarding the
Yep.
ending, the scene where the principal is giving a speech about how the residents of the colony side sects are going to move forward
Yep.
and all that. When Al is crying during that scene, that stands in stark contrast to some of the other moments throughout these 6 episodes where he's faked being emotional. For example, when
Yep.
he leads
Yep.
the
Yep.
cops to the
Yep.
like the storage facility, I guess, where the Xeon unit is trying to repair a mobile suit or get a mobile suit out of a
Yep.
truck or
Yep.
something. He
Yep.
he
Yep. Yep.
cries to the cops in order to get them to play along. Then in
Yep.
episode 4, he does something similar. No, no, it's at the start of episode 6
Five.
actually, when he and Bernie have hatched this
Oh.
plan to get weapons
Yep.
that he's going
Yep.
to need
Yep.
for his final showdown with the Gundam. He takes a
Yep.
pipe and he starts hitting the Federation's jeep, and then he cries and
Yep.
says, you all killed my father all because you put a
Yep.
base here on this
Yep.
colony. That's what brought Xeon here, and that's why my dad died. So he like manipulates other people by pretending to be emotional, but at the end he finally displays real, uh, you know, real sadness, real emotion
Yep.
as a result of what he's been through.
Yep. Yep. That. Yep. That's a good point that you make here, and it's actually really track his emotional maturity.
Yeah.
Like he actually can see the effect of war to that happened to his close friends who's now died, and one of them moved away from him.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, I'm glad it's fiction.
Yep, me too. And yep, I think this is at the end of the day, it's still one of the good adaptation for good addition to that Gundam canon.
I haven't seen nearly enough to say whether
Oh,
it's
just
you know.
you see more than me, that for sure.
Well, yeah, I mean I've seen more Gundam than the average anime fan, but the average anime fan is really, what have they seen? Attack on Titan, right? And Demon Slayer.
Yep,
Like,
yep.
so I mean
Even
I
even
haven't
attack.
seen Double Zeta. I haven't seen any of the stuff that came out in the 2000s and the TV series that came out in the 90s. Like I haven't finished Herne, I haven't seen Wing, I haven't seen Double O. Um,
Yep,
but I mean, I'm happy. I'm happy enough
yep,
with my viewing experience with War in the Pocket. I wanted more from it, but it was good.
yep, yep. Me too. So yep, we will decide on later date on what classic show that we're gonna tackle the next time.
Yeah, probably not going to be another Gundam show,
No.
but
Yep.
we'll figure something out and report back.
All right. Have fun for now. And enjoy the new seasonal anime shows.
Yeah, we'll see you at the end of end of September, beginning of October, and we'll wrap up the
Yep.
season.
All right. See you then, guys.
Bye for now.